I just wanted to give you the latest updates on the employee retention tax credit. I know all you really want to know is when am I going to get my money? And as you know, they implemented a moratorium on the processing of the employee retention tax credit in September of 2023. But all across the media, what I'm finding out is there is enormous pressure on the IRS to end the moratorium and process these forms quickly. So I'm just going to share with you just some of the things that I've been reading here on LinkedIn. A tax attorney, Mary Lundstedt, who's writing, "Are we at the tipping point?" Because there's so much pressure, there's lawsuits, the IRS needs to be getting this money out. It's part of the CARES Act, and these lawsuits are citing violations, and they are becoming a pain for the IRS. So that's a great article, which I will link below. Also, this thing that we talked about, the Administrative Procedure Act, is being mentioned in a lot of the lawsuits against the IRS, that they're saying that the IRS did not have the authority to put such narrow guidelines on the employee retention tax credit, and also they did not have the authority to create this moratorium. So what is the Administrative Procedures Act? It is an act that when there's an IRS regulation that gets put into law, that first it has to be publicized. It has to be, you have to have public comment on it. And so the IRS is required, there's just certain procedures they must go through before it's law. And they don't have an excuse to not do that. So there are cases that we're all watching very carefully, law cases about the APA, where the IRS has been charged with a violation. And this is going to affect, of course, the employee retention tax credit, regardless of what that lawsuit is about. So let me show you this. So this is just another attorney on LinkedIn. I'll give credit, James Dawson from Holland and Knight LLP. And what he's talking about is the IRS was charged with an APA violation. They didn't go through those procedural steps of publicly stating it and allowing comments that they are required to do. This went all the way to the appellate court, and the IRS lost. I will leave the link to that article. So this is putting more, as we started with, pressure on the IRS, because they are losing cases that are about violation of this APA Act. So this is going to have several effects. One is the IRS is not going to be able to probably stand by these guidelines that were set out in the notice 2021-20 and 2021-49, and they are going to have to more broadly define and allow the employee retention tax credit. So this means audits are going to be, the IRS is going to be less successful in audits, and I think they're going to have to back off on the audits because of it. They're getting a lot of pressure from different organizations that they are causing harm to small businesses and that they need to stop the moratorium. That has been 9 months already. And they have people that ask the IRS every single week, when are you going to end the moratorium? And they keep saying soon, 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 but they're not. And at the rate that they're going, it will take 10 years to process all the claims that they now have. That is just not going to cut it. So again, in the Journal of Accountancy, everyone is talking about this. And the reason I'm bringing this up is maybe not so much informational, is that I know all of you are very anxious. Am I going to get the money? Yes, you're going to get the money. I want to assure you, this is on the minds of everyone. They are pressuring the IRS. There are lawsuits against the IRS. Action is happening, whether you are participating or not, to get this thing moving forward. So yes, if you are out there and it's been a year and a half and you haven't heard anything, your main thing is to go to your tax professional. Make sure that the IRS has on file your 941X. That's the main thing to do. And if it's there, then just wait till all this pressure makes them get going and process these claims. So don't worry, it's coming. So the main point that I'm just trying to get across to you is try not to worry. I know you need the money. I know you're waiting for that check. You are not alone. Everyone else is in the same boat. The IRS must process it. The CARES Act is a law, It is a legitimate law, and I think you should not worry so much unless you are completely blatantly fraudulent in your application for the ERC, because the IRS is basically being shown that they didn't have the authority for the moratorium. They didn't have the authority to narrow the rules. They didn't have the authority to make the laws as strict as they made them. And therefore, you should breathe a sigh of relief and know that this pressure is coming to a point the IRS must act and get these refunds sent out to you, and soon. It's just way too long. They told us the beginning of 2024 they were going to end the moratorium, and then they said late spring, and now we're into summer, and they still have not processed very many claims. So hang in there. I will just try to keep you posted and up to date on just any kind of news, what the lawyers are writing, and you can follow them on LinkedIn. You've seen some of these tax attorneys that I've shown you. I'll link their articles below, and you can follow yourself and see there's a lot of action happening as far as lawsuits against the IRS about these ERC claims. So I'm Michelle Smart, trying to keep you updated on the employee retention tax credit. Please like and subscribe.